François, Trump gave a victory speech in the wee hours of the morning, but we have not yet seen Kamala Harris. What's the latest you can tell us about the results and when we can expect to see her?
Well, let's start with the second question. Kamala Harris due to speak perhaps around 4 p.m. Washington time. That is in a little under 3.5 hours' time. And she will be making her concession speech from Howard University, where she was due to speak on the night. Results did not go her way. They're still digesting them. We still don't know, by the way. It's not confirmed that the Republicans will control both houses of Congress. The Senate, that's done. The House of Representatives, they're still 18 seats shy of an outright majority. We're waiting on late returns in that one, and there are a lot of close races. So Donald Trump, with a sweeping mandate later in the France 24 debate, we'll be talking about what this means for the future of U.S. democracy. And to get an outsider's eye on all of it, we're speaking with Rama Yade, former junior minister for human rights and for sports in the governments of the French President Nicolas Sarkozy. Today, the Atlantic Council think tank's Africa Center director. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
On this day after, you recently penned a book called The Lessons of America. In it, you have this line that faced with the MAGA onslaught, the U.S. has a, quote, tenacious democracy. Do you stand by that statement on this Wednesday?
You know, this is the new chapter, right? And America is at the crossroads of its history. And with Donald Trump at the White House again, the country will have to face a tremendous question. That is it possible to reunite this country on democratic principles and values? Because that's what America is supposed to stand for, right? And we have seen last time during the riots at the Capitol how many civilians, many powers convened together to resist to the riot, which means that the U.S. democracy held. So now, with this new situation, with a large power at the White House, with the Senate and maybe the House of Representatives.
And the Supreme Court.
And the Supreme Court. How will things go? You know, that's the question Europeans and the rest of the world is asking. What I think is Donald Trump has the possibility to be the game changer he claims to be, you know, given the high expectations coming from his voters. But in the meantime, he said a lot of, he had a lot of declarations and statements saying that he would be a dictator just for one day. What does it mean?
When take that seriously?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this is a question that make people think that with Donald Trump, things are volatile. We never know what can happen. But it's the American and domestic problem. And on the other side, you have the rest of the world, and especially Europe, where Ukraine is on the line.
Yeah, Ukraine is on the line. That's it for Volodymyr Zelensky? What are his options now?
You know, Donald Trump said that he would bring peace in Europe and in Ukraine. What does it mean? Is it a peace in favor of Russia, or is it will he still support Ukrainians? That is a very important question, because
seeing that Americans did not at all vote on foreign policy, they voted their pocketbooks in this election. By the looks of what the polling suggests, a little bit immigration, but that's also linked to pocketbooks.
That's right.
Ukraine has reason to be worried.
What I'm saying is it's related to the domestic matters, because it's about money, the financial support brought by the United States to Ukraine and to the NATO, or the Organization of the North Atlantic. And this is very important for China too, regarding the tariffs. which means America first on the economic side. So for all these reasons, I do believe that domestic matters and foreign policy are strongly tied.
Yeah, and you write in your book about how foreign policy is couched in terms that it has to be amenable to the middle classes in the United States, the middle classes which appear to have broken for Donald Trump. Perhaps there was a warning sign when you were in government. You talk in your book about America leading from behind when there was the intervention in Libya to oust Muammar Gaddafi.
It was Barack Obama's policy, leading from behind. And then with Trump, it was America first. And I think it will be still America first with him.
So what does this mean? Does this mean that it's the end of the United States sort of imposing a world order, what you call in your book the Washington Consensus? Yeah. That is to say, the rules for international trade backed by the United States.
It questions the multilateral engagement of the United States. That's why allies are so concerned about Donald Trump's foreign policy. But in the meantime, sometimes I'm like, I don't see so much difference between on the economic and commerce side between the Biden administration and a potential Donald Trump administration when it comes to commercial policy, for example. I remember 2 years ago when Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor of President Biden, said here in Washington, D.C., we are building a foreign policy for the middle class, which means that he understood very well the importance of linking the economic and social situation of the American middle class and the policy to China. And that's why the key states, the Rust Belt, was so important during this campaign. So this is something that is important, but more concerning on the European side, because Donald Trump said that he will have a very strong commercial policy, even with European countries, European allies. So for all these reasons, I do believe that there's a lot of expectation from Europe to the new America. But in the meantime, I don't see how deep America can give up this historic relationship with Europe, especially in a context when the European vital interests are on the line through the war in Ukraine.
All right, so the United States will not shy away from its role in the end, is what you're suggesting. Rama Yade, I want to thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
There you have it, Charlie. Later on in the France 24 debate, we'll also be getting a domestic policy perspective on whether this is a turning point for U.S. democracy.